Christmas. The long-awaited children's party, reunion, and family party, happiness party, and especially gifts. Me the first, I was looking forward to this party. I was 10 years old and I was an unconditional fan of the Animal Crossing game saga. Unfortunately, I didn't have an Animal Crossing game yet. But as soon as I went to my big cousin Aiko's house, I played there all the time. I loved nothing more than the fact of building, decorating, making friends was for me the fruit of this passion. By the way, this was also the passion of my girlfriends at school. Animal Crossing New Leaf has been out since November and they couldn't stop watching the game's commercials on TV, me watching the commercial with stars in my eyes. So I told my parents about the game several times but to no avail. My parents didn't want to spend a yen on this game who judged the game, too immature for me. Which made me cry for a while, but fortunately my girlfriends also couldn't have it at Christmas because the game is too expensive. It's Christmas 2012, everyone is happy except someone. Me. I was still disappointed just at the thought of never having an Animal Crossing one day. My sadness also made me know, which annoyed my mother and annoyed my father. My father always said the same word to me: young girl, girls your age don't have a present at Christmas, stop making this fuss or you won't get a gift too. I was eating the cake disgusted that I didn't have it and annoyed by my father who tells all the time about my awkward moments in front of the whole family. It was dessert, and my father once again told one of my blunders, except that this time, everyone was laughing, my cousins were laughing at me and it was one anecdote too many. I scream enraged. If Grandpa were still alive, he would be ashamed of you. I wonder why I still call you Dad. I leave the table mad with rage, I go to my room, I take my savings, my down jacket, my boots, then I leave the apartment to join the icy streets of Tokyo crying. Everyone was cheerful, with family, everyone looked new. While running I came across an old lady. She looked poor but she shouted, Animal Crossing New Leaf has only 100 yen, yes I heard you right. But everyone didn't know it, except me. I had a pile of 100 yen, while Animal Crossing New Leaf cost 10,000 yen. Naive as I was, I bought it, with the joy that came to my brain. I would run to my building, I'm climbing the stairs the fastest I've done in my life. I discreetly go back to my apartment. The guests have left. My father was strangely not upset, but still crying on the couch. He kept muttering, I'm just a bad father. I continued my way to my room with a smile on my lips discreetly, and I see gifts in my room. I close the door, I observe curiously, and I see a letter having written, sorry my daughter. Here are your gifts, your father who loves you. But it didn't make me feel hot or cold, I still resented my father. I opened the presents, but it was just makeup. I eagerly turned on my Nintendo 3DS and put the cartridge in the console. Finally I have Animal Crossing. I am also a fan of the game The Legend of Zelda, so my name is Linky. I created my island. I named it Amaru Village. I see Marie for the first time on my 3DS. But, Marie is not like the others in the game. We see a Jesus cross upside down on it. I didn't pay so much attention to it except that I was a little intrigued. I finally see Tom Nook except that he wrote engaged there. I thought it was weird, but I thought it's probably Tom Nook's new name. I visit the village and I see all the villagers as if they were unhappy. As soon as I approached them, they would run away. I managed to talk to a villager who had not fled, Trom. They all had weird names, but I wasn't particularly worried. He was just saying Trom Trom Trom. I bought a purple doll from Melly Mello. My passion was to create lots of drawings and put them on my wall. One day, my friends finally also had Animal Crossing, except that they engaged was called Tom Nook. So I'm preparing my island as well as possible to welcome my friends. For once, my inhabitants didn't run away from me, but they told me, run away, don't bring any other friends to Trom. All the inhabitants except Trom of course told me that, and they all had the same first name, Pletrom. I had explored the island and there were some strange torch lights, and this is the only place where Trom goes, besides no one else goes there, and as soon as Trom and I too, he runs to his house. I went before my girlfriends came, to solve the mystery, why my locals say that run away, don't bring other friends to Trom. I go to his house and I can start a discussion for the first time because there is a bubble, or I can ask why don't the locals want me to have friends. Trom got upset, and I spawn in front of the house and I can't go back because if I try to open it, there's a message that says Truum. I invite my girlfriends to the island. My girlfriends think it's too pretty, but the locals are weird because they only tell them you're going to cry, Trom is here. They returned without problems to Trom except me. My girlfriends found Trom funny because they were just saying Trom Trom Trom. Then they leave the island. I went to Trom's, but for once he opens up to me. For fun I'm going to try to go into the cellar, but I succeed. I go into the cellar and I see only pictures of me in real life. I was scared and Trom talks to me and says, don't worry, I don't blame you anymore, you are my friend. I got scared and I turned off my 3DS. The next day I reopen, and as soon as I speak to a resident, they all want to commit suicide. Marie's speech was not there. I'm going to the town hall. I see Marie. She was carrying an axe, and she was saying engaged Trom Trom Trom. I leave the town hall. I go to a house of a villager who was a rhinoceros. I see him hanged. I was terrified. I'm leaving Animal Crossing. The next day, I have a morbid desire to return there to finally understand the reason for the sudden depression of the inhabitants. Marie, who was singing strangely, engaged, who was not at his usual place but at the place to Trom, but above all, to understand why the rhinoceros committed suicide. Mary's speech appears here. Mary had her head cut in half with an axe on the floors with a puddle of blood. He wrote there. I go, shocked, to the rhino and I still see his body hanging, and I see a lot of pictures of Trom looking at me in the game. I come out of the rhino's house crying and I see a local woman who brings me to another resident's house. I go back into the house, and we see a cat who says, take off the stool, and he was hanging. I couldn't get out. so reluctantly. I did it. He was struggling, I was crying, but my brain wanted me to keep looking. He was screaming in agony, trum trum trum, and then I heard a crack and he closed his eyes. As soon as I tried to speak it, he answered, "I killed someone." I went scared to my father's house to explain it, but he didn't believe me. He told me, "Stop watching horror movies, it's doing this to you." The next day I was decided. I was going to Trom. A year passed after my girlfriends came to my apartment, and my mother comes into my room telling me that my 3 girlfriends, the ones who went to my island, have committed suicide. They had left a letter where there is "Right Trom Trom Trom." I'm crying, and that was the reason why I was going to Trom. Trom speaks to me first and tells me, "All my condolences for your girlfriends." How does he know that? I could write it either "I hate you, you scare me," or "I love you, I want to get married to you." I obviously clicked on "I hate you, you scare me." He got upset and my DS turned off. It turns on again 20 seconds more than once with Trom, or there is an ultra loud music and a voice that repeats "I hate you, you scare me" endlessly. I take the game off, but my 3DS is unusable, so I go to a green place and bury my 3DS crying and horrified. I am now 19 years old, I am in college, and I have never touched a console again in my life.